All right, second day, the most greatest day is framing day. So here I'm out on site, day's going good, cranes on site, guys have already prepped enough, 40 minutes in and we got our first girder truss set. I'm calling this a girder truss. Any trusses that basically support other trusses, I like to call them girder trusses because they're very important. So we got the first one set. We're doing good now. Some of them you can see we kind of build them on the ground, make it easy for the guys to set. I'll tell you one thing that I noticed when I first got on site, a little bit of my fault, a little bit of our lumber delivery, and the fact that, you know, we build pretty aggressive and the guys are always busy. There is a low bearing wall in this house that we don't have built at this point. The point or the thought was we can go ahead and get it built later. Or during this process. I'll just say lunchtime, we thought we can get it built, but we could go ahead. We didn't want to cancel the crane this day. As you know, cranes are expensive and hard to get. You know, we're out on a 2-week schedule on getting that crane set up and planned for that day. So we thought we could go ahead and get it done. I was excited about it. I thought we could, but these trusses are long, right? So from front to back of this house is almost 62 feet. So our trusses are pretty long. And as we were going through, we got half the house done and we were locking in trusses, we were swinging trusses. And the one thing I didn't like is, and you'll see here in a minute, the trusses, as long as they got a little flimsy and they got a little airy in the air. And what I mean by airy is just a lot of movement in the air. And I didn't like it. I didn't feel safe about it. It was a quite windy day. You could kind of see the trees blowing a little bit there in the picture. But I didn't like it. And although I wanted things to continue, it is an exciting day. Safety's always first, and my guys are always first. And so as though they wanted to continue, I ended up calling this day. I did not like the way the trusses were moving in the air. I didn't like the fact that low bearing wall wasn't built. You could see me standing there looking at things, contemplating, wanting to get it done. But at the end of this, I decided to call it after this truss, and we'll come back another day. So the reason why this thing wasn't built, typically we don't want a lot of wood laying out on the job sites. Typically it walks away pretty easy. So I had the material scheduled to get delivered. This wood package came from Lowe's. So instead of them getting the delivery ready the night before, they tried to get it ready in the morning. Some issue with the truck driver. He didn't want to wait. He ended up leaving, and therefore I didn't have my wood for my low bearing walls. The wood you see there, my guys grabbed it just to get the trusses set, and also a lot of that wood is from another project that we just delivered there, so it was hanging tight. But our low bearing wall was, I believe it was 2x6s in this case, and we didn't have that material on site to build our low bearing wall. So things happen, you know. It ended up being an additional cost for the crane, but all in all, it's okay. We'll make it up somewhere else down the line, but we gotta get the project done, and we gotta get it done as safe as possible. So since we do quite a bit of work with the crane company, you know, they only charged us the show up cost. So it only cost me an additional $350, which I thought was great. So it didn't break the bank, and no one got hurt. So that's a win in my book. And you know, it wasn't a loss of a day. You know, I want to focus on that, right? What it allowed the guys to do, right? Since we were already on site and I did shut down around lunchtime, it allowed them to go through. They went ahead and took care of all the scraps on the trusses we did have, get everything leveled out. The other thing they did was went ahead and they pre-built I'm gonna call it the south unit on the ground. And so it was a lot easier the next day. It was a a lot quicker. We built the entire truss. Since our reach point with the crane wasn't as long, if you say, we were able to pick up that whole side. So you see the side that's built now, we built the other side on the ground, and we picked up that entire section and sat it and got everything tweaked in. So the second day when the crane showed up, we were ready to go. We had everything built and we got it done, and the crane was out of there in about 2 hours. So it wasn't a total loss of day. I will say that it was a slowdown in production, but it wasn't a loss of day. So everybody won in this picture. We got the job done. Additional cost, yes. Safety, main key. We can't count on the wind. We don't know what Mother Nature's going to do, but we do have the choice to stop and pivot once we're in that moment. These are prefab trusses. Prefab trusses are great. It's like putting a puzzle together, if you will. It's a lot quicker versus, conventional framing, right? Trusses being built out in the field, or a truss system is what I like to call it, because it's not building trusses in the field. It's actually building a truss system in the field. And a truss system is just, members of wood put together to make a roof structure, right? Although that could be convenient and save some time, it is a little bit more work, although I feel in those cases it is a little bit more stronger, because you have the choices to improve and, I would say, overbuild those trusses, if you will, out in the field with conventional framing. So, to each his own. They're both still good products. Pre-built trusses are a little bit faster to build, because like I said, if we didn't cancel this job, it would have been one day and all the trusses would have been set and we would have started sheathing right away, versus if it's conventional framing, you're probably going to spend 2 or 3 days on just framing. So it's a lot. Questions is the main key. I like to see guys work in the first 1 hour of a crew, especially if it's my first time with them, seeing how they prep for the job, seeing what are they talking about at the beginning of the job is key to let me know, do they have good chemistry of working together, and will it be a good fit for me, knowing that I'm a safety conscious person, being that I want everybody to leave like they came. This crew has been with me for a while. They like to joke around, but they take their safety serious. But they also understand construction. In the industry, we got a lot of rules. We got a lot of oversight as far as OSHA and different municipalities and how they come out and look at us. But at the end of the day, we do have a job to get done. We want to be safe, but we also want to get the job done in a cost-effective way. Everybody knows that, being tied off, having scaffold, having ladders, is the right way to do things, but in the industry we can't do that at all times. So there's a little bit of safety conscious in what we can do to be safe on the project. I'll just say this part of construction does have an inspection. We don't have an erection, truss erection inspection. What we do have is a framing inspection, and what are they looking at is in which you can see everything from underneath once this is put together. They're looking at the scraps. We talked about hurricane straps earlier, and they're looking at the hurricane scraps to make sure we have the scraps that we need. We're looking at what we call the engineering for the truss system, which is throughout the truss system, the engineer who designed these trusses called for different supports or wooden structure. As you can see right now, you see the guys putting the 2 foot cuts on it to support the trusses. That is very critical, because it keeps the spacing of the trusses right at 2 feet all the way through. And the component that helps support this is our sheeting system. So you'll see we won't remove those spacers, if you will, or truss blocking, until we start sheeting, just to make sure, in these cases, a 2 foot separation. We want to make sure we keep that 2 feet all the way through the project.